Latest now on Donald Trump. He appealed a decision to keep him off the primary ballot in Maine as he faces multiple challenges to his eligibility to run for office. Rachel Scott is in Des Moines, Iowa, where the first votes of the campaign will be cast in less than 2 weeks. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. The Republican primary is in full swing here in Iowa, with the candidates crisscrossing the state. But once again, all eyes are on former President Donald Trump and his legal trouble, now fighting to get on every primary ballot.
This morning, Donald Trump taking his fight to remain on the primary ballot in Maine to court, insisting the Secretary of State had no legal authority to bar him from running. The former president now at the center of two unprecedented cases. Officials in Maine and the Colorado Supreme Court kicking him off the ballot over his actions on January 6th.
The qualifications for president under the United States Constitution are not a menu. They're not optional. My job is to follow the Constitution and the law.
The case is hinging on a section of the 14th Amendment, which blocks anyone who swore an oath to the Constitution and engaged in an insurrection from holding federal office. In an appeal, lawyers for the former president writing he has never taken an oath to support the Constitution, arguing that clause only applies to people holding specified offices, not running for them or from being elected to them. Trump is still the far and away frontrunner, with the Iowa caucuses now less than 2 weeks away. But nearly all his Republican rivals blasting those decisions, even his toughest critic, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
Excluding people from the ballot in this way is going to cause even more tumult in an already really divided country.
Although Florida Governor Ron DeSantis arguing Trump wouldn't do the same.
If any of the other ones of us had gotten kicked off the ballot, Trump would be spiking the football.
We are told Trump still plans to appeal that decision in Colorado. There are similar lawsuits playing out in more than a dozen states, putting even more pressure on the U.S. Supreme Court to weigh in quickly, George.
Okay, Rachel, thanks very much. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Rachel just said it right there. You've got this challenge in Maine. You've got Colorado, several other states. This is definitely going to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and there's no question the Supreme Court's going to hear it, right? Because a lot of the time cases will be brought to the Supreme Court and they'll have to decide, do we take the case or do we not take the case? There is no doubt in my mind that they are going to take this case. They have to take this case. They're going to rule in this case. And the advantage that the Donald Trump team has is that if they accept any one of the arguments, he wins. Meaning, we could go through the 5 or so arguments that he has. You have a due process argument. You have definitional arguments. You have questions about whether it's self-executing or whether you need Congress to make laws.
Whether the president's even covered.
Exactly. Is the president even covered? If he wins on any one of those arguments, he wins. And that's the challenge that the other side is going to have.
We were talking about this before air. I think you and I both begin from the premise that the Supreme Court simply does not want to step in and decide the election, that there's no way they're going to uphold the Maine decision or the Colorado decision. We may be proven wrong, but what's the argument?
Well, the argument that the other side is going to make is that under the clear words of the 14th Amendment, Section 3, this should apply, right? And that's where a lot of people start, and they say, wait a sec. Look at this. This was an insurrection, et cetera. But then when you get into the little definitional aspects of the 14th Amendment and you look at other sections of the 14th Amendment, there are various arguments to be made. And I think the most important one is this argument about due process, right? Which is, where has he been charged with an insurrection? Who has decided? In Colorado, they would say, well, there was a judge that resolved this question, et cetera. But there are real legal arguments that Donald Trump has, and because there's a menu of outs for the court, they're going to find one, I would think, that will say Donald Trump can remain on the ballot.
Far different case also coming, whether the president, former president, has immunity from criminal prosecution.
Right, and that's a much more of a long shot argument. The idea that the president of the United States has total immunity in his role as president, I can't see how the court would determine that. And this is a nice way, by the way, if they want to take up both together, to make it clear they're being fair, which is, no, the president doesn't have total immunity, but yes, he remains on the ballot.
Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.